Hello, and welcome to the Fellow Thinking Differently podcast. I'm your host, Alex Ficcari. And today we've taken the show on the road for a very special episode hosted at Fello at the Mall. Fello at the Mall is a new 5,900 square foot space at Annapolis Mall that Fello is using to create new opportunities for connections. And I'm joined by Jonathon Rondeau, President and CEO at Fello, and Sara Pease, Assistant Director of Children, Youth, and their Families, to talk about Fello's vision for the space and what the community members can expect to find here. Jonathon, Sara, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah, great. It's a great day. So I'm excited because we're talking about Fello at the Mall. And so just looking around, I've seen this beautiful space. There's so much common area and there's so many wonderful things here. And today we're in the conference room. And so I thought maybe you could tell us about what's happening in this space here and what's the vision for it?
So I think the vision of Fello at the Mall is really to meet the community where they're at and to be more accessible to people with disabilities and their families who need access to services and to better understand who Fello is.
Okay, Sara.
And we're excited to have families be able to come in and get real-time live support from our information and resource specialists who will be here at the mall, as well as hosting events with local organizations and collaborating. We actually have an event coming up in a few months with Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and we'll be doing a vision board night where parents and students can work together to create a vision board and talk about their futures and what they're looking forward to.
So launching Fello at the Mall is, a great way to start off the 65th year. And so I'm kind of curious is that, you have such a long-standing commitment to serving people with disabilities and their families. How does creating this space further the mission?
So Fello is a statewide organization. We serve all of Maryland, but we were founded by a group of parents here in Anne Arundel County who envisioned something different for their children with disabilities around that. And so Fello at the Mall being the first thing that we're launching in the heart of Annapolis. Annapolis has been a big part of who we are, right, and who we've been and who we will be in the future. Has just been a great thing. And as we've evolved as an organization, we want to make sure that people see our commitment to our legacy communities, particularly here in Anne Arundel County.
Sara, do you want to add to that?
So yeah, we are looking forward to being able to provide this resource for families and be accessible for families to stop in and continue to receive support. We really work on breaking down barriers for families. And this is just another barrier that we're breaking down to create an accessible space that families can stop in and access resources and information in real time.
That's great. So Jonathon, I have to look at you and ask this question. Where did this vision come from? How did you decide to expand into the mall and create Fello at the Mall?
So I think coming out of the pandemic, we at Fello had been having a number of conversations about how do we better meet the needs of people we support and their families. And so we've been providing family navigation, information referral in different iterations, right, for a long, long time, and really reinvested in that in 2018. But most of that was virtual. Sometimes our family navigator would meet people at their home or community locations. But there wasn't a central place where people could just stop by without an appointment and access information. And so a couple years ago, I was here at the Annapolis Mall for an event, hadn't been at the mall for a long time, and sort of was like, oh, people are shopping, but they're also going to the library. They're also volunteering at the SPCA, or they're engaging in a different way. And so here at the Annapolis Mall, where there is still the traditional sort of mall shopping, but there's also a richness of community and yes, that sort of thing, wanting to be where people are coming anyway, and to create that level of accessibility that also we can include people with disabilities and their families right here in the Annapolis Mall.
And it seems more natural. That's what living is about. It's not scheduled appointments everywhere and this methodical. It's about living in a community.
And when you talk about inclusive communities, inclusive is not just in physical space. It's around access. It's around how do people get the resources they need? How do they have access to a bathroom with an adult changing station so that they can be here at the mall and spend more time here, right? And so it's all those different things. And Fello is proud to be a a model of that here at the Annapolis Mall.
That's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about the timeline from the concept to execution.
So it was a little over a year ago that we started having conversations with mall ownership, and then it was about 5 months ago that we started the process of creating Fello at the Mall. Once we had signed our lease and sort of doing the build out of what that is. And so for anyone who's done retail space build out, that's a pretty aggressive timeline. But if you know Fello, we want to do things now. We want to meet people where they are today. And so we're really proud that this is opened and that people are starting to access the services and resources we have here.
That's great. And so, Jonathon and Sara, can you talk a little bit about, is this space open to the public, right? And who are the new people you're hoping to reach through that effort?
Absolutely. So it is open to the public. We invite people to stop in and see us. They will always be greeted by one of our information and resource specialists, and they will be trained to be able to provide resources and information for families who are curious about what we're doing or might have a need, and we can answer those questions for them. So families can stop in Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and then on the weekends too. So we have open hours on Saturday from 10 to 4. And so it's on their schedule. It's accessible to their schedule.
So they don't need an appointment. They can just be there as living a life.
Absolutely. They can stop in and get real-time support right then and there.
So talk to me a little bit about how this space will also help you serve the people you're already serving every day, like for example, with day services.
So Fello provides day services to a wider variety of people with disabilities, and we have for a long time. And our day service model has always been community-based, where people with disabilities with the supportive direct support professional are in the community volunteering, doing social and leisure pursuits, a whole variety of different things. And we have a community hub model where we have multiple community hubs, both in Anne Arundel County and the Eastern Shore, where if they need to take a break during the day or especially in the winter, a place to have lunch, they're able to access the hub. And so Monday through Friday, the people we support here in Anne Arundel County, particularly in the southern part of the county, will be able to access Fello at the Mall as part of that and be able to use the resources that are here, as well as engage. And we have developed and are continuing to develop partnerships with the businesses and other organizations that are right here at Fello at the Mall. So not just being that people with disabilities can come to the hub, but how are they actually then accessing the fitness center that is here at the mall and the library that's here and the other shops and resources that are here.
Sara, do you want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, so our children, youth, and families team will be housed here. So myself, as well as our family navigator, will be available to provide support to families. And then we'll also have our information and resource specialists who will be here on site to provide on-the-spot support for families and provide resources when families are stopping in.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about accessibility, right? And how is the Fello at the Mall built for that, creating those connections?
So when we think about accessibility at Fello, we think about it in multiple dimensions. There's obviously the physical accessibility, where all of our spaces, whether that's the spaces that people we support and navigate, our offices or housing that we do, wants to exceed the Americans with Disability Act requirements and really do that. But when we also think about accessibility, is that it's also about how can people access that, right? How do people feel when they're in their space? Does it feel welcoming? Does it have the things that I need to be successful? Does it have places where I can have some quiet time, right? And that sort of thing. Some unique features here is there's breakout space, like our conference room, like our wellness room. There's also a restroom with an adult changing station and another restroom as a baby changing station for those families in our children, youth, and families programs. But the space also, when people are here, is inviting. It does not feel like a storefront in a mall, right? It feels like an intentional space that people can come and get resources and other things.
That's great. So tell me about, continuing on that, who's going to help bring that connection, that feeling that you want them to have, not a retail storefront, but who's going to be here making it all happen?
So as Sara said, the information and referral specialists are the key to that. Okay. Right. So they're going to be the first person people will see around that. And then they're going to be sort of the concierge to connect them to the rest of Fello and their other community resources that we've been providing virtually, that information referral, but now we'll be able to do that in person. And we hope by having a physical presence that resources we aren't even aware of, or partnerships that don't exist will be able to be created because we have this space. Oftentimes,
Fantastic.
a foundation, such as a location, while so much can happen outside of physical space nowadays, is critical for sort of connection and people having a sense of belonging. And so that's really what we do across Fellow, but particularly here at Fellow at the Mall.
That's great. So Sarah, walk me through what it's going to be like for somebody walking to the space for the very first time.
Sure. So when a family walks in, they'll be greeted by our information and resource specialists, and they'll learn a little bit more about the family's needs, their interests, what they're looking for. They'll just start with a conversation and talking to them, getting to know a little bit about their background. And from there, we can offer information, we can offer resources, we can refer them to other team members within Fellow and make it a really person-centered approach with how we're working with our families to make it personal for them and really tailored to their needs.
Well, continue on that for me. Tell me a little bit about the family navigators, right? And what does this mean as far as Fellow services?
So our family navigator is really a person that's building a relationship with a family. We want to work with the family to create a foundational relationship so that we can continue to support the family as their kids grow and change.
Sure.
And so they might need support with filling out applications for services, or they might come back to us later and are looking for a recreational activity. And so by building a strong relationship with them, we can continue to support their family as their child's needs change and as things come up that they're looking for.
Okay. And so Sarah, I'm going to, sorry, Jonathan, we're keeping you out of this part, but no, Sarah, tell us a little bit about, as we talk about services, my interest is very high. So what I'm really curious about is, what are the services most families are curious about?
So a lot of families are looking for enriching activities for their children. They're looking for activities for their children to continue to grow and meet new milestones, as well as support for their family in general. So we can refer families for enrichment activities. We can help them find therapies that might help their children grow and meet new goals. And we can help connect them with other families who might be going through a similar situation and are looking for a sense of community.
And so these would be the kind of services that are helpful for children, teenagers, and families as a whole.
Absolutely. We want to support the whole family. So we want to make sure that the resources that we're offering are not just supporting the child, but maybe family members, the parents, everybody involved.
Now, obviously, Fellow has a long history of support and advocacy. So I'm curious if you could tell me a little bit about what the ideal future looks like, especially when you talk about bringing in community partners and everybody here with Fellow at the Mall.
So we think the future looks like what the community says they need, right? Everything that Fellow does is based on, in our growth over the last 10 years has really been based on what the people we support, their families, and the communities we serve are asking for. And where are their gaps and resources and access to information, and the gap between what families that have typically developing kids and families that have a child with a disability, the gap in how they can navigate just the things that they need to be successful in life, whether that is summer camps or after school programs or daycare or any of those things, or just fun things to do with their kids that both their kids with and without disabilities can access. And so everything that we're focused on is really about, where are those gaps? How do we fill those? Do we do that on our own? Do we do that in partnership? And we are excited to see why having a physical space here at the Annapolis Mall, what can happen because of that.
Yeah. Organic growth and really seeing where it's going to come.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So a question that I ask everybody, usually we ask this question at the beginning, but we thought it would be appropriate to ask at the end. And so why is it so important for us to think differently in what we do every day, and specifically how it applies here at Fellow at the Mall?
So I think it starts with being able to just be open to opportunity and to seek the resources and things that are around you, right? And so whether it's Fellow at the Mall and sort of saying, how do we sort of connect with community and placing ourselves here, or whether that is pivoting a program because, well, this legacy program had this specific need at that time, that what families are asking for, what people with disabilities are asking for today are different. And so I think thinking differently is in the foundation of what Fellow does, but I think it's part of it is sort of being open to that, right? That we want to make sure that we find the balance between sort of legacy and traditional approaches that are very valuable to families, but also new and evolving ways that we can do things that are meeting the emerging needs that people are having within the space that we're in.
What about you, Sara? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I really think that I'm looking forward to being able to break down additional barriers for families.
Wow,
Families
great.
are really used to having to jump through hoops to be able to access services and resources for their children. And I think having a space here at the mall is going to break down one more barrier for them and create an accessible space where they can come in at their time, on their schedule, and get the support they need for their children.
Wow, that's amazing. So thank you. Thank you very much for both of you. It's been fantastic being on the road today and working out right here at Fello at the Mall. So thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having us.
It's been great. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Thinking Differently podcast. I'm your host, Alex Ficcari. And as you can see here from Fello at the Mall, we have so many wonderful things happening. We hope that you'll take the time to come visit, bring your loved ones with disabilities, and see what we have to offer. Thank you very much. And until then, we'll see you in the next episode.